Okay, gonna start this video off very quickly. I'm gonna make it very brief. Prior to doing this video, I made a big mistake and I ate something that contains like a bunch of salt, which usually dries my mouth out. So I'm gonna try to make this extremely quickly as I need to like hydrate. I don't want my lips going chapped. In addition, I guess, to that, yeah, I need to run to the grocery store. We just slipped something on. I typically wouldn't even do a video, looking like this in some ways. I might take these off, but this light to me is so distracting. So try not to get distracted by it. Yeah, man, also, small little piece. Be careful when you try out different products and things like that. I tried something out for my skin recently, and if I get close up, you can see it more. It just ate my skin up. So just be wary. Sometimes stick to what you know. There's nothing kind of wrong with it before. I think trying to seek perfection or greaterness, can sometimes mess us up. But anyhow, I wanted to do a very, very, very quick video. I'm not going to touch the chili MAGA thing yet, or at least not on this one. But just in terms of the performance about the upcoming tour, where it's like Salt and Pepper, or it might be TLC, Salt and Pepper, and En Vogue, or TLC, Salt and Pepper, and En Vogue, however they have it worded, with the top two headliners and En Vogue. I'll just give a quick little video. One, I want to say, when the tour actually was first announced, me being a person that, grew up with music from different eras, but, definitely kind of being present during the 90s one. I, kind of look at it like, okay, I'm curious to see what happens. It's great, apart from one, RIP Left Eye, everybody's still living. But nonetheless, let's see what happens with this. I'm not gonna, it too much, but I think after the whole ladies' night concept, or whatever they were calling that with SWV and Escape, it kind of, it's a no-brainer for other people to kind of launch these other tour ideas, so on and so forth. Not that I'm saying that they were the creators of this, because this concept has been, going on for quite some time. But I just think that, caused like a resurgence in some ways of like, definitely more 90s tours and, collabs and things like that. So when I first heard about it, I don't want to ramble, I wasn't the most excited. I was just like, let's see how this works. Let's see how this, let's just see how it works. I'll say looks wise, I think Salt and Pepper, I think they look great. Their look is reminiscent to me in some ways of what like SWV's new packaging deal, consists of. I don't know if it's the same stylist or whatever, but I'm getting that vision in some ways, but I'm loving the look. En Vogue, they look great as well. I can't take it from them. There was always like a sophistication I feel when it came to En Vogue. They're just kind of, to me, they're still consistent with the level and the standard that they've actually set. I will be, one of the ones to say it. I really would love for there to be 4 of them. I've actually had this concept or this idea for some time where I wanted it to be, especially now with the like resurgence of like all these reality shows and groups getting back together. Why not have all 4 members get together, have this be filmed on a reality TV show setting, have it be filmed where all 4 members get together, hash out, differences, talk about moving forward, get to a point where there's like a reconciliation that's completed, show them practicing, getting back on tour, maybe getting the business straight, and then with all 4 members doing a tour. I just think that it would be just such a great concept. I wouldn't want it to be like an escape thing where they lose a member and they lose on again. En Vogue is great. I've always felt like En Vogue was cool, but for me, when groups kind of come out a certain way, sometimes it's hard when a group breaks up or they add someone, you change the recipe a little bit, it's like something's off. So I will always be one of those people that will always like, not preach for, but advocate for the full 4 complete members of En Vogue to kind of hit the stage and bless us with all the good and great music. I think that would just be so ideal. Hopefully they take this concept and make it happen, but I think it would be the way to go. And so much, more can kind of come from this. TLC. huge TLC fan. Let's start out with that. I've been a little disappointed with TLC. Now, granted, I think at one point in time, Left Eye's uncle Kyle Young was the person who styled TLC, made their outfits, so on and so forth. And, similar to Lisa, he's passed on as well. So I kind of feel like some of TLC's looks, I don't know if they're like, I'm not trying to say that they're trying to mirror the image. And don't get me wrong, they can have fun just based on the group and the packaging. But I'm just like, lately it's just been off, and it's such a disappointment, especially with them being quote unquote one of the headliners from this show. I am expecting for like this presentation to just be great and excellent. I would hope that they would find a new stylist or designer that can definitely, give the people, what they want. And I don't think they want this, and I'm not dissing them, but, we got to call a spade a spade. Step the looks up, I would say. It's not reminiscent to the TLC that we all are more so kind of familiar with. Granted, it's different, but I feel like we still want that same. TLC was a very great looking group, polished looks, just never really too many misses within that style department. We want to get back there. Lately, it's just been miss. Love T-Boz down, love T-Boz dearly. Understand that, due to, age, having the baby, sickness, so on and so forth, things like that. The weight, it is kind of, I guess, here to stay, which is fine. I still think, because there are women that are bigger than T-Boz out there that still, will present and look, just as lovely. So I can't blame it on, a size thing. Now, granted, it's a new size for her, as we've always seen her very petite, so maybe she's not that comfortable with it yet. And these are just my, who am I? But nonetheless, even though you have one member who's a little on the thicker side, and not even like thicker, it's just, she just okay, thicker we could say, she's a little on the thicker side than Chili, who is the, small petite one, I think may recently have gained a little bit of weight, but Chili's so small, it's almost like there's no weight gained. Anyhow, find somebody that can still kind of make it work, and I'm gonna stop saying so much, but even with the hairstyle, T-Boz, and I say this as a fan, I understand having a signature look, wanting a signature look. We've seen you switch that before, and it's more so worked great. It's worked well. Please do something differently. It almost looks like you are doing your hair yourself, and you're not a person that's that good at doing their hair themselves. So it's, if someone is doing that for you or to you, get someone else. That just sounds mean. But you've set the bar here. So, we're always going to want this. This can happen a little bit, but it can't be, straight where there's just such this, decline. And that's what's been happening. While I'm broke, so I'm not going to go to the concert. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not a fan of just big arenas per se. I like a more small, intimate setting, which limits me from being able to go to a lot of concerts, because a lot of people are not going to be in small, intimate settings, unfortunately. If, I ever got free tickets, would I attend the show? Sure. I'd be lying if I tell you that I wouldn't, and I'm sure that I would enjoy it. I would have a good time. I'd be able to sing along to all, said songs, especially if they're singles, maybe some even album cuts, from all groups per se. So I wouldn't tell people to not support the tour, to not buy it. Like I said, I'm all over the place with it. Support the ladies, I would say. I don't want to be negative, Nathan. I could be wrong with certain things. The performance that I saw on TV with the collab, I'll go into. I do like how they kind of intertwined everything, together. I wasn't in love with it, but I appreciated it. I did think it was cool. I thought it was dope for them to have Salt rap, Left Eye's part. I know people keep saying they should put SWV in, and I'm like, while I get that, no, you can leave it as is. We got SWV with Escape. let that be. You know, we don't have to add Brownstone or Jeanne or, you know, and I'm not taking away anybody getting any money, but it's almost like a, you know, it's fine the way it is in some ways, oddly enough. You know, I also feel like it makes sense with En Vogue because En Vogue and Salt and Pepper do have the one song together, you know, so it does allow for that. The ladies have all kind of been on stage before together with the whole Alicia Keys BET performance. You know, maybe Alicia was on or something when she had, you know, like those 4 groups come out. 4? En Vogue, SWV, TLC, 3 groups. Yeah, it was just 3 groups. But you know, yeah, Alicia was on, you know, the visionary, I guess, that she is. That girl is on fire. No, yeah, but yeah, I'm talking too much. This video was a little longer than what I expected it to be. I'm just kind of rambling. Ultimately, support it. Hopefully there's more that comes from it. TLC, definitely get a new stylist. En Vogue, we would love for you to have a 4th member. Salt and Pepper, I don't have anything yet, any points or critiques. You know, I saw Spinderella rapping. Spinderella's back with the group. I saw on the turntables. You know, yeah, packaging looks great. You know, and I have to remember too that all these people are also older as well. So I can't expect for everybody to be, well, Chili will still be flipping and dipping and, you know, kicking. That she will be, still can do. I'll say the other ones I had to realize, you know, they're not as, you know, everybody's not a Janet, you know, in some ways, and that's cool, you know. Yeah, hopefully, you know what I'm saying, dopeness comes from the show. Hopefully more people go and see it. Please do not go see it. You know, at the end of the day, despite what people are saying, and I said we weren't going to touch this in the video, there's still a whole bunch of other Black women on the show, on the panel, and you know, we want to make sure that we are supporting more so them. You can work on one. Don't let one bad apple spoil the bunch. Yeah, I not too much to say. Very brief. You all have a good one. I need to run to the grocery store. It's a nice day. And yeah.